tough. I'm not sure how the Giants Mage stacks up against the Freeze Mage, but I want to say the Freeze Mage is good against it, just because it feels like it can control the board really well, and it can play around duplicate really easily.
And its reach is
Of
more reliable, perhaps.
The Giants Mage feels like it wouldn't put enough pressure on, but because it's slower.
Yeah.
But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Hype knows what to do against it. It's a very unexplored matchup for sure.
Mhm.
But based on paper, I feel like Freeze Mages could be good against it.
Because both of these variations of Mage were both sort of popularized at different eras, different times.
Well, think about like what the closest analogous deck is to Hype's Mage.
Control Warrior.
I walked straight into that one.
No, what is it,
I
Dan?
think it's Handlock.
Okay.
Because there's a lot of giants in it. There's a lot of like big creatures and like a lot of one-ofs to make the deck really effective in board sweeps.
Mhm.
So if it's like Handlock, Freeze Mage is pretty effective against it.
It's true.
And the only thing is though, Ice Block does pose to be a problem, but there's a lot of burn damage, and Mage deck doesn't heal much. So if it comes to the place where she has Ice Block and then she gets Alex Straws off and there's a combo to kill, there's almost nothing Hype can do.
Yeah. And I said it a little bit earlier, but it feels like the reliable reach against that Mage would be a little more effective than Giants, which take a little bit of a
Well, I mean,
delay to activate.
Magicamy won 2 matchups that were disadvantaged, or that was disfavored. Can she win a matchup which, I guess, if we were to take a shot in the dark, we would say that she's favored in? I don't know. This is part of the cool thing about seeing these two players collide. A Mage Mirror match. I wasn't expecting to see that today, but Mage is one of the decks that still, people are very unfamiliar with at the moment and refining. And Magicamy is 1 game away from going to the top 8.
And Hype is 3 wins away.
Hype is 3 wins away.
A little more daunting of a task here to have to win the next 3 matches in a row. And have to sort of get into a good matchup in the blind pick phase for 2 matches in a row, even after winning this one.
So Hyped has the Twilight Drake in hand. That's really good. Magicamy also has a lot of draw in hand as well. And like we said, try to see this matchup very similar to how a Handlock would be. Very similar cards.
Instead of a tap on turn 2 and a tap on turn 3, it's just an Arcane Intellect on turn 3.
I mean, the Drake's not nearly as powerful, but...
Powerful nonetheless.
Well, Twilight Drake should be able to be taken care of. Oh, never mind. I thought it was a 4/7. I thought Fireball would have taken care of it just with an Acolyte, but requires a little bit more oomph. So Magicamy might have to play the tempo turn by Frostbolting so that way she can buy some time. Yep. Makes a lot of sense. You Frostbolt this so that way you can get more draw out of your Acolytes.
Yeah.
What's really funny is Doomsayer is not that powerful against this deck, generally speaking. There's not many minions against what Magicamy is doing.
It's more of a disadvantage from you because...
You reset your board.
Yeah. Your minions are going to be... Your board is a lot more important than your opponent's board in that scenario.
Do you want to give up a Fireball here to draw 2 cards? I don't mind that. You do have an Antonidas in hand. And you already have a Pyroblast as well. There's a lot of burn damage in this deck. In fact, in sheer burn damage, how much is there? There's 17, 23. There's like 33 points of burn damage alone.
Once upon a time,
just quick napkin math.
Mages had to like choose. It seemed like the deck was really cluttered and they had to choose between which win condition they wanted to go for, whether it be like Archmage Antonidas or Pyroblast. Now you could fit in both.
Now you don't have to choose. And, because she's been able to dictate the state of the board, it feels like Hype hasn't been able to pressure. And to make matters worse for Hyped, he doesn't have any minions to present threats other than his Doomsayer.
And he's going to get out spell flung. So he needs to pressure. That's going to be how he wins. Oh, he's going to mill a card.
Okay.
Which is actually really effective in Freeze Mage.
If it's an ice block, that's pretty clutch, but... Alright, that's a pretty reasonable card. I don't know if she needed that. It would have been nice to have for sure, though. Because she does already have Flame Strike, and that should be able to kill off whatever's going to come up on board soon.
Okay.
What's really scary is when Magicamy draws Ice Block with the Scientist. Because if it draws Ice Block, then Alexstrasza becomes really, really, really powerful. The fact that Magicamy already has Alexstrasza is already scary for Hyped.
Yeah, and the Doomsayer and the Explosive Sheep
Right.
are both sort of working against
Right.
Hype more than for him. It's like the tools that this deck from Hyped would use against most decks.
Wow.
Have the opposite effect.
Look at that. Polymorphing the sheep because he realizes what that represents. If he gets an ice block, he might be in trouble. That's a very advanced play. It might look like a bad play to anybody who's first starting out in Hearthstone, but it's highly advanced in this matchup.
Yeah. Oh, she's got an Explosive Sheep of her own.
Yeah, the nice thing about Explosive Sheep is that you can fit in an Arcane Intellect with it. You just want to dig deeper again for those ice blocks.
We have to go deeper.
Or even have the burn prepared, so that way Alexstrasza could be followed up with just straight up kill damage.
Debating whether or not she should ping the Big
Right.
Game Hunter or ping the Twilight Drake. And I mean, this presents a little bit of a problem, because if you ping the Explosive Sheep, the Twilight Drake's still alive.
Well, here's an interesting thing too. Because Hype goes first, he hits Alexstrasza first. And that means if he Alexstrazzas, he can pressure her, and Magicamy still hasn't hit Ice Block yet. This is actually a very scary moment for Magicamy now that I think about it, because she didn't tap into Ice Block, and she still doesn't have a way to draw into it yet.
So going back to that polymorph on the Mad Scientist is actually...
Like, that's like even more brilliant
Yeah.
from Hyped, because if she weeded out even an Ice Barrier, to be fair, it's like it might stall long enough for her to have a high impact.
Exactly.
But the Ice Block is definitely really key for Magicamy here. And then she also gave up her coin, but that's, I mean, looking back on turn 2, you had 2 Acolytes. Feels like those were the reason why you even have cards in the first place.
Yeah. Couldn't Arcane Intellect in that turn to try and dig deeper
Right.
because she had too many cards. Having to use the...
Yeah, exactly. Now, this is where Hyped absolutely needs to Alexstrasza here aggressively. She has no secret. Oh, he's gonna try to line up for like a one turn kill.
Okay.
Effectively, like Alexstrasza and then basically kill. Or even just do fireballs and kill. Like, Alexstrasza is used defensively in case it ever burns. But,
Yeah.
Yeah. So this Antonidas dies, but now it's opportunity for Hype to Alexstrasza ahead of time, and then put him down to 12 health and effectively be able to try to go for it.
And it puts Magicamy on a clock where she has to draw Ice Block. Yeah. She has Arcane Intellect, but...
I mean, I like the sequence. It's a very smart one. Even though it feels like you're giving up Frostbolt, it's that you're converting your damage so that way you have lethal in terms of spells.
Yeah.
Ice Barrier doesn't do it. She
Nope.
needs Ice Block. Oh, by the way, there is an Alexstrasza that you have to kill too. Or stall. If you Arcane Intellect into If you Arcane Intellect into Ice Block, you can play Ice Block and Frost Nova. And that'll be the way to survive. Oh, she doesn't even have to Arcane Intellect. She can draw right here. This has to be Ice Block.
Now
Doesn't
she
look
has
like
to
it.
play a card before she can Arcane Intellect.
No, she can still Arcane Intellect for one card. She'd burn the second one.
But what if that second one is Ice Block?
At this point, I think you're desperate enough.
What would you be saving the leftover mana for?
Okay, you can Frost Nova first for sure.
It's gotta be Ice Block. Not it.
No.
Not it.
And the fact that she also froze. Okay, so it's a bluff, but I mean, Hype definitely will go for this. There's like no reason not to. You're under absolute zero pressure. The only thing that he has to make sure to do is to Fire Blast with his hero power before he fireballs a second time. Just use your hero power. And that's going to do it for game 3, and it just shows you how this matchup is very unfamiliar. Like,
Yeah.
I still have no clue how to necessarily play. I just kind of analyze it on the spot as we
Yeah.
go.
I mean, if you think about it, your analysis makes sense where it feels like you're slower, your burn isn't as reliable, but you still have the burn. You still have the similar tools to the Freeze Mage where you can stall. You're just stalling with valuable creatures instead of spells. And you're still drawing into your deck. You still rely on like Alexstrasza, Archmage Antonidas, plus burn spells later on in the game to finish it off. And when you can go first and have that initiative,
Right.
you can win like Hype just did.
The ice block is really, really important.